One of the things that surveys and studies continue to show is that people today are finding less and less satisfaction in life. They're looking, they're going all over the place. They're traveling, they're consuming, they're doing everything they can to try to find some sort of satisfaction in life. But it seems like the generation we're in today is finding less and less of it, which is ironic because we have more and more stuff than ever before. I want to show you a little model that might help all of us think through this idea of satisfaction a little bit. In this model, there's a correlation between the degree of permanence of something and how it correlates to satisfaction, so that the more permanent something is, the greater the level of satisfaction. So there's 4 elements in this model. Just briefly, I want to walk through just to kind of illustrate this. The lowest level of permanence are things that are based on what we call self-indulgent things. These are those things where it's kind of fun, you go in, you buy something, you get a new shirt, but eventually that shirt becomes kind of an old shirt, and so you want another shirt. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's a good meal, maybe it's a glass of wine, maybe it's just buying something, a trip, a vacation, a destination you've been to. It's all these things that are kind of self-indulgent, that we enjoy in the moment, but it fades away fairly quickly, if not just immediately after that, like a meal, or maybe just in a little bit of time. So the permanence is very low, and therefore the satisfaction is low as well. I mean, it's there in the moment, but it doesn't last very long. The next level on this scale is what's known as the Ego Comparative Stage. This is that stage now where it's not just about self-indulgence, it's also about me compared to others. It's what I drive compared to what someone else drives. It's what my job is compared to somebody else's job. It's what zip code I live in. It's my square footage and their square footage. It's where I went to school, where they went to school. And these are all things that a lot of people live for in comparison. And it takes more time oftentimes to kind of accumulate enough to compare yourself to feel better about where you are in whatever stage of life you're in. And so there's a greater sense of permanence because there's more effort, there's more work oftentimes that's put into that. But again, the satisfaction is not high. It's satisfactory because of the effort you put in to maybe go to school, get a good job, buy that dream house you've always wanted, have that car you've always wanted. Those are great things, but comparatively to other people, it still has a short-term permanence. It's not something that really lasts. And plus, there's always a lot of other people that are way ahead of most of us. The third level at some point in life you get to is what's known as the Contributory Stage. And this is that stage now where it's what we actively give back. It's our resources, our time, our energy. It's the investments that we make in other people. It's the money maybe that we have that we're contributing to build something significant that lasts longer than us. It's the lives that we touch. It's the people that we impact, so that when we breathe our final breath, those people remember us and might even talk about us and talk about the impact or the influence this person made. It's the contributory stage. With your money, your time, your investment, your energy, your sacrificial life. And again, a much greater level of permanence because it actually has a ripple effect. It lasts potentially into a later generation, the next generation, and maybe even beyond that possibly. And then therefore, it's actually more satisfying because you know the impact that you're making is more lasting. And then we've got the fourth stage, and it's what's called the Transcendent Stage. And this is that stage that things like faith and religion and ultimate meaning comes in for people. And this is that phase where you really see your life as a reference point to something that really is eternal and lasts forever. This is something that people have to discover for themselves through their own pursuit, their own reflection, their own reading, considering the different ideas and beliefs in the world. Where do we come from? What's ultimate meaning? If you don't have the transcendent phase and you stop at contributory, life can be meaningful, obviously, because you are giving back, but there's going to be a lack of real permanence and really a lack of ultimate satisfaction for people, because the transcendent stage is that stage where now I'm making an impact that really touches something that lasts eternally, it lasts forever. So these are the four phases of satisfaction in life. Most of us, when we're young, we spend the bulk of our time in self-indulgence, just trying to enjoy as much stuff as we can along the way. Over time, once we start getting training and maybe getting some certifications and education, start accumulating more expensive things, we might now fall into this kind of ego comparative trap, where now we're kind of comparing ourselves to the people around us. And that's a phase that can last quite a while in a person's life. But at some point, that contributory phase becomes very important. I personally think this is why, if you look at some of the richest people in the world, the most successful, famous people maybe in Hollywood, A-list actors, a lot of them end up starting foundations. A lot of them start orphanages in Africa. They feel this burden, this need that there's got to be more than my mansion in Malibu sitting over the Pacific Ocean. I mean, that's nice, that's great, but there's got to be more to life than just that once they've achieved those things. And so what do? They begin moving into the contributory phase because they're looking for greater satisfaction in life, and there's more permanence there. And obviously this is the last phase. We live in a day today where the transcendent phase is becoming more and more challenged, and people see it as more and more irrelevant, which personally I think is one reason why more and more people are feeling less ultimately satisfied with this life. I think there's a correlation there. Anyhow, something to think about. Look at where you fall in this. What do each of these phases look like in your life? And challenge yourself to ask yourself, what do I need to do to really experience greater satisfaction in my life? Where am I spending the majority of my time, my energy, and my resources? And I think you might be surprised how a model like this can help you find real satisfaction in life.